Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Between Beth and Rip's spinoff and CBS Kayce series, Yellowstone Season 6 is basically happening. The Yellowstone franchise couldn't continue with a proper Season 6 after Kevin Costner's exit, but between Beth, Kelly Reilly, and Rip's, Cole Hauser, Yellowstone spinoff and Kayce Dutton's, Luke Grimes' newly announced CBS series, the story will continue. Costner was the soul of the landmark show as John Dutton IV, the owner of the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. Kevin Costner didn't return to the series for Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 after he and its creators failed to reach an agreement, and the closing chapter was riddled with controversy surrounding the decision. Still, there were some things that Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 got right. John's children both had full-circle endings, with Kayce selling the ranch to the Broken Rock tribe and moving back to East Camp with Tate, Brecken Merrill, and Monica, Kayce as Bill. Beth and Rip also had a noteworthy conclusion, moving onto a ranch west of Dillon, Montana. While Kayce and Beth's closing scenes in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 14, would have been great epilogues, it's actually the start of something new. Still, the spinoffs will just look like Yellowstone Season 6 collectively. Yellowstone Season 6 could not have achieved Kevin Costner's 7-season Yellowstone plan without him, meaning Season 6 would have likely been about Kayce and Beth's separate lives. Now their independent shows can replace that. Ahead of the Yellowstone Season 5 finale, a casting deal broke the news that Reilly and Hauser would reprise Beth and Rip in a Yellowstone offshoot, presumably in place of Season 6. Season 5 gave us a great idea of what it would be about, with Beth beginning to spin the wheels of her finance degree to figure out how to make ranching profitable. Beth can apply what she's learned to her husband's operation, but a spinoff for the couple would not have replaced Yellowstone Season 6 by itself. However, the news about Kayce's Yellowstone spinoff on CBS confirms screenwriter Taylor Sheridan will cover the complete spectrum of what comes next for John's kids. That would have been the basis for Yellowstone Season 6, so if viewers tune into Beth and Kayce's shows, respectively, then they will get the complete picture of life in Montana after John Dutton IE's death and the selling of the ranch to Thomas Rainwater, Gil Birmingham. After Costner's exit, the Yellowstone story would not have been able to continue with Beth and Kayce holding it down on the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch, unable to pay the massive inheritance tax that caused them to sell it. Therefore, their stories would have been inherently separate in Yellowstone Season 6. Granted, Kayce Dutton could have joined Beth and Rip's offshoot. However, I believed Kayce was gearing up for something more significant than that in Yellowstone Season 5, and something even bigger than running the ranch to pass down to Tate. Especially after the way he stepped up in the final chapter, a Kayce-centric continuation is warranted. Kayce was outstanding in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11, 353, using his position as livestock commissioner to command the medical examiner's office and get the investigation into his father's death reopened as a homicide. The CBS show will give Kayce his spotlight, and it will allow Beth and Rip to occupy ample space in their story, rather than trying to keep up with Beth's brother. Still, the siblings are close enough that they could cross over from time to time. Especially after the divisive reception to Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2, it was time to close out the original Yellowstone series and maintain its best remaining pieces and offshoots. While Costner couldn't return to Yellowstone as John Dutton, Reilly, Grimes, and Hauser were all ready and willing to keep their Yellowstone characters alive. Rather than try to build the show back up without its soul, John Dutton, it makes sense to pick up the pieces and start anew. Although it was enthralling to see all their stories play out simultaneously, the characters are robust enough to hold their own shows. I'm interested to see what the reception is to Kayce Dutton's CBS Yellowstone show, especially since it will be the first Yellowstone spinoff developed for broadcast TV. I've noticed that Yellowstone fans can be divided on which of John's kids they root for, and I wonder if that will translate to who tunes into which spinoff. Those who watch both Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spinoff and Kayce's offshoot will get a complete sense of how John Dutton's children are coping with his death and their evolving stories, painting the full picture of the presupposed Yellowstone Season 6. Fans thought they had ridden off into the sunset with Yellowstone Season 5, their cowboy hats tipped in mourning as the credits rolled on what was billed as the final chapter of the Dutton saga. But as it turns out, the ranch isn't ready to close its gates just yet. Between the much-anticipated Beth and Rip spinoff and CBS' upcoming Kayce Dutton-led series, Yellowstone Season 6 might not exist in name, but it's very much alive in spirit, grit, and the fierce loyalty that's defined this franchise from the start. Let's be real, Yellowstone was never just about one season following another. It was about legacy, about building an empire with your bare hands and defending it with every ounce of blood, sweat, and twisted loyalty you could muster. So while Paramount might be rebranding, reimagining, or repackaging the Duttonverse into spin-offs and standalone shows, fans know the truth. This is the next chapter. This is Season 6, only disguised in a cowboy's new coat. Enter Beth and Rip, the Wild West power couple rides again. The announcement of a Beth and Rip-centered spin-off hit like a shot of bourbon on a winter morning. Sharp, welcome, and absolutely necessary. Their love story has always been the emotional backbone of Yellowstone, a chaotic blend of passion, pain, and unapologetic loyalty. With Kevin Costner stepping back and John Dutton's legacy left uncertain, who better to carry the brand's fire than its most volatile, compelling couple? Sources hint the spinoff picks up after the Duttons' Montana power struggles reach a breaking point. Beth and Rip, leaving the ranch behind, or maybe taking it with them in spirit, head south, possibly to Texas, maybe even to the 4-6's ranch fans first saw teased in 1883 and Yellowstone Season 5. But don't expect a peaceful retreat. If there's one thing Beth Dutton doesn't do, it's calm. Think of it as Yellowstone meets Bonnie and Clyde, but with a moral compass that points somewhere between justice and revenge. Whether they're building an empire of their own, going head-to-head with new enemies, or wrestling with the ghosts of the ranch they left behind, one thing's for sure, Beth and Rip's saga is far from over. If anything, it's just getting started. And let's not forget the heart of Rip's story, his journey from orphaned boy to ranch foreman, and now, maybe reluctant king. Watching him navigate a world without John Dutton's guiding hand and looming expectations could finally give us the vulnerable, fully realized Rip Wheeler we've only seen glimpses of. Kayce Dutton's CBS series, The Soul of Yellowstone, goes national. On the other side of the Dutton dynasty is Kayce, perhaps the most conflicted of the bunch. A former Navy SEAL, a devoted husband, a father torn between legacy and freedom. His internal war has always echoed the soul of Yellowstone. So it's no surprise that CBS is betting big on him with a new series that promises to take the brand in a bold new direction. Rumors suggest the series will follow Kayce in the aftermath of the ranch's collapse or transformation, possibly as he takes up a federal role, steps into reservation leadership, or finds himself pulled back into the blood-soaked politics of the West. With Monica and Taden Tao, the show is poised to tackle themes of identity, reconciliation, and healing without losing the action, intensity, and moral complexity that's kept Yellowstone fans obsessed. It's a move that reflects the franchise's evolution. Where Yellowstone began with cattle and land disputes, Kayce's arc brings the story full circle toward family, tradition, and justice that spans beyond fences. And being on CBS means a broader audience, potentially a primetime slot that will push the character and the Dutton name into millions of living rooms far beyond Montana. Separate roads, shared blood. What makes these two series so thrilling isn't just their star power or storylines. It's that they represent two sides of the same coin. Beth and Rip are the fire, the chaos, the unapologetic might of the Dutton family. Kayce is the soul, the future, the quiet force that holds it all together. While they may not share the same screen anymore, the echoes of their pasts will bind these shows like barbed wire on the ranch's perimeter. Expect crossovers, expect references, expect that the consequences of one will bleed into the other. Because in the Duttonverse, nothing ever truly ends, it just shifts. Fans hoping for a traditional Yellowstone Season 6 might not see it printed on a TV guide, but what we're getting is something even better. A universe that expands in two powerful, emotionally charged directions. It's like watching the ranch split in half and then gallop in full throttle toward two different sunsets.